Well, welcome back. This is an OC Housing Talk. Again, here with Tim Lorenz and Mike Ruth from the Elite Home Sales Team. How the heck are you doing, Tim?
Better than most, not as good as some.
It never gets old.
Never. No, I'm doing well. Today's topic is going to be one that I don't, in a one-on-one conversation with clients, I usually don't like to go into this unless there's something specific. I think it's important, but I don't like producing it because it brings up fear.
Well, I was going to say right away, it's like, why do you want to put unnecessary fear into people when you don't have to?
Yes, exactly. But I think as a topic, and by the way, the topic is going to be all about all the things that can go wrong in a transaction. And I think forearmed gives you a better chance of handling problems, whether or not it's with us, with any other agent. It's not there to make you list. And I stay away from it if I'm in a listing situation so that, or for instance, if you had your house up and you're trying to sell it yourself, I'm not going to come in and say, these are all the things that can happen to you, because they sound like I'm just trying to get you off your pins so that you'll list with me. The purpose of this is to give you some information because the general public is not well studied on where issues come up in a real estate transaction. And there are quite a few places.
Well, yeah, and we talked last podcast about I don't like being blindsided.
Exactly.
And this allows buyer beware, know what to expect, and like, oh, whoa, that happened to me, and I didn't even realize that could be an issue.
Exactly. And there's an awful lot of charlatans.
I haven't heard that word forever.
I know, it's kind of fun to bring them out. Charlatans, I was looking for a word where I don't want to paint everybody with the same brush. That's not my point. But there are unscrupulous people, another fun word, that operate out there. They can do it in a lot of different ways, but they're telling you one thing, doing another. They make promises and they don't intend to keep them. They also have situations that come up and they're unskilled, unprofessional, can't solve them. And you don't even know those could be bumps in the road. So that's what I kind of want to talk to today. So, what kinds of things could go wrong in a real estate deal?
Holy cow. How much time you got?
Yeah, exactly. One of the things I want to tell people, and I generally don't tell this, again, to the general population, I do this when I'm training agents, whether they're new or they've been in a while. I don't have to say this to somebody who's been in a long time. They already know this. But in my career in real estate, I've done thousands of sales, whether for buyer or seller. Only a few times, I think you could count them on one hand, where you write a contract, it goes to escrow, and it closes. Absolutely nothing went on. It was smooth. And everybody on the outside thinks you just find a buyer. That's it. Well, the first problem is, and I'm going to use a for sale by owner only because the contracts that are written today, which are 10 pages long, are there to draw out and be specific about each point of the contract that needs to be covered either for the state of California or for the protection of the buyer or for the protection of the seller. And it's very specific. It's a good contract. It really covers everything. So as soon as you go away from that contract, which is only available to people who are members of the California Association of Realtors. They're the ones that draw it up. It's their attorneys that make sure that everything's in it and that we're well covered and we're protecting the buyer and the seller. If you don't have that, I was asked this question from one of my newer agents, and that was, I have a friend, he's entering into a contract with his landlord, and they don't have a contract. Can they do that? Sure. They can walk down to escrow and just talk to him, but the specifics aren't covered. In what time do you do this, and how do you do this, and I might make sure that that's covered, and it isn't. Escrow doesn't have that information, nor are they set up to track that. They're set up to track the money coming in and getting paid, and all that can be smooth. So that enters into a lot of problems. Most times, once you enter into a contract with a real estate agent, it's running along fine until you get to the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, you always discuss it's those last 2 weeks where stuff gets weird.
Always. I mean, I'm telling you, one hand where it just comes in and goes out. So something will happen. The buyer goes out and buys a brand new car, not knowing that just dumped his credit score. It obligated him to more. He doesn't qualify for the loan, and they do check it just before it closes.
Oh, yeah.
And you get the phone call. Didn't you tell your guy not to do that? My God, he went out and bought a car. Or bought furniture for the house and obligated himself, and now he doesn't qualify. That is an issue. It could be the association in a senior community says, well, wait a minute. We know that you did everything according to the rules, and you got the city to okay it, and it went through planning. But now the section of our senior community that represents sales, you can't have 2 air conditionings for your unit. You can only have 1. It's like, but we did everything right. Well, not really. This is something you have to know. So you can have something come up there. You can have odd things that come up with water spots that turn into mold at the end. I mean, there's all kinds of places that you can step into it and have problems that halt the process until we find a solution that makes sense. This is whether it's a fast market, slow market, or any market, there's going to be some issues, and they have to be solved, and some of them are rather critical. And you have to have somebody who can have a cool head, not get into the drama, but can help be a problem solver to make it come out and that everybody is whole. Keller Williams has a statement, win-win or no deal. That's their part of their direction. They really want things to be smooth for both sides. And I understand why they come from there. So things come up that are unforeseen, that are no fault of anyone. Things come up that if somebody had been on top of things, it would have worked. And let me explain some of those. In the contract, there is a section, just check-off boxes. They went to check-off boxes, and I think that was a flaw because it's easy to miss. Markets are moving fast. So in it, it says we want all ranges with an S. We want all refrigerators with an S. We want all washer and dryers with an S. What that means is if you meant to give away the refrigerator in the house, but the secondary one in the garage, you weren't selling. It's just it's the place that you put extra stuff and you're taking it to the next house.
And there you take it away, take it with you, and next thing you know, hey, you checked off right here that I get refrigerators.
And you could have in the multiple listing service, which is where we list the home, and that's what you get to see. If you look on Zillow, it's what we see, which is even more filled out than that for the agents. But that's where everything comes from. And in that document, it says to the agent, we're selling the refrigerator, but we do not intend to sell the washer and dryer, and we're not going to sell the secondary refrigerator in the garage. If they check those boxes off, what you said in the MLS is not the contract.
No.
The contract rules. If both sides said they get a refrigerator, they get a refrigerator. And that creates problems. That's getting down to the end, and we have issues.
Because it requires both parties to agree upon it. So MLS means nothing in
Nothing.
that case.
Just because you have it in the MLS doesn't mean it was covered. If you intended to take the chandelier because it was a wedding present and it had been in your family forever, and you put in the MLS, we're excluding the chandelier, and you didn't do it in the contract, it's a problem.
Yes, it is.
The other problem that you see a lot, and I look for these because I'm looking at contracts every day for the agents that work on the team, also for those who have kind of gotten in a problem and there's a potential lawsuit, they come to me to look at the contract to see what's there. The other place that I would say are issues of missing something is there's a Section 31 of the contract today. I mean, if you're seeing this years later, the contract could change, it'd be a different number. But in it says possession. It's a very important part because generally speaking, the person who owns the house, sells the house, has to get the money out of the house in order to buy the next house and close their transaction. Let's say you close at 5 o'clock on Friday. They don't get any money until Monday. So Saturday comes, they can't move out. They haven't closed their property. And a lot of people, they can't even pay for the moving company. So if you say in possession, which is the form without anything written in it, it says possession, day of close at 5 o'clock. And the seller can't meet that time. What do you do? So with everybody who writes a contract that's new with me, I say to them, is it a vacant property? No. Well, you didn't fill in 31. What? What does it say in the multiple listing service? How many days do they want to have possession until closed? Again, missing that, somebody rolls up with their goods in a moving truck and you're still sitting in the house as the seller and you can't close, you have war. Literally starts out, police are called, it's a tremendous issue. Very easily solved. Now those are issues of contract. Then we have the issue of things going on outside. And then we have fraud. Fraud is an interesting thing. We had one that came up recently, not on the team, but somebody I was mentoring. And that one was this, and it's prevalent right now. Somebody had contacted the buyer and wrote him an email and said, you're going to wire your money in for close. So if you're wiring your money, here's our new wiring instructions for escrow so-and-so. And they thought, that's legitimate. I mean, how would anybody do that? They hacked into the escrow company's emails. They said they were them, and they said that they knew it was closing about now, and they said, wire your money here. And the buyers wired their money, their entire down payment, to somebody in a foreign country, and it's gone. The FBI's involved. That's fraud, and that's something.
What kind of dollar amount were we looking at on that one?
$30,000.
$30,000 is poof.
Gone. But I've also heard it where others have done it, and it's $500,000. That hasn't happened within ours, but it's things I know that have existed from meetings I've gone to and heard about it. We try to protect that. We send a form that says, don't do that. And we have to remember to remind our people not to do that. Because if it happens, most people don't have two sets of $30,000 to put down on a house.
No, you can't recover from that.
Yeah. So that's fraud. There are other frauds that happen. There are frauds and there are questionable activities.
I like how you word that.
I'm looking for words. I used to run the homeowner fraud division for Los Angeles County long before I was in real estate as a salesman. So I do understand fraud. I do understand what it is. What I just described is definitely a fraud. It's a criminal act. But we have things that just fall a little short from that. For instance, if I say to you, there are no fees, you expect to pay nothing. Or if I say there is no commission, you expect to say nothing. And they'll interchange words, fee and commission, and they do it to confuse you. So you think, I'm getting a reduced commission and you have a giant fee. There are some that say we have absolutely no commission, but in the fine print they have a 9% fee. So you think you're saving money and you're going with somebody who isn't professional, at least not professional, but also have a problem. You have other people who say, I only charge you 1%, 1.5%, 2%, 2.5%, whatever it is. And you go, wow, that's great. How much do you charge? And we tell you, and you go, that's ridiculous. Then the person shows up at your listing and they say, no, we have 1% that we charge you for me, and there's 3% that we charge for them, and then we have fees that we charge, and it gets up well over 6%. So you must be very, very careful as to how you hear something. It's far better if you get somebody who is professional, can explain every bit of a contract, why they do what they do, where the costs are, what the issues are, solve those issues if you get into contract. By the way, most of the people who shortcut or use, before they're caught, things that are what they would call gray area, which aren't, that can get them into trouble, at least losing their license, unethical practices. Those folks usually do not have the skill set to do anything other than collect a check for themselves. So if you run into a problem, it's your problem.
Because they don't have answers.
None. That's scary. Now again, I would not be doing this sitting down in your house, trying to list your house, because
not fearmongers.
It's not appropriate. I say it's not appropriate because I can tell you that, and a large number of people think I'm doing that to bring up fear while they're talking to somebody else when that's just not real. But if you know about it ahead of time, you can ask questions that hopefully they answer on the square and tell you where the costs are for selling a house.
Oh, you want photographs of your home? Oh, you want an open house?
Yeah, I love the one that used to charge for open houses, charge for photographs, and you could get an agent if a problem came up within 2 days.
2 days.
When a problem comes up, you need it handled now. I just heard of a story that was really sad where they've been trying to close the deal for the buyer's ready, seller's ready, and the association is, every day they have something new that has to happen. That's very frustrating, but it's outside, again, the control of what we can do. And so we're trying to figure out whether or not the people could move in, rent at the cost of what the seller pays per month, which is usually less than what the buyer does, so they can get into the house, because these are just little diddly things that have to be done.
Mm-hmm.
They do have to be done, but they could get their possession. The seller is out in this case, so it's easy to do. But you have to find ways to solve the problem, no matter how big the problem is. Or if you can't solve it, make sure that the people are released one way or the other in the most equitable fashion and according to the contract. Contracts are real. What you say in them count. And some people don't know that. They think if they say it in a contract, oh, I'm just going to do something else. No, that's not good.
No, that can get you in a whole lot of trouble.
And today, if you're a buyer and your agent says, or you say to your agent, just tell him I'm going to buy the thing for cash because there's so many offers on it if I say cash, and then we'll say I changed my mind later on. That's changing the contract. I'm just telling you, they can say no. And if you can't complete the transaction, meaning I don't have that kind of cash, they can keep your deposit because you were negotiating in bad faith. I'm just saying, there are places you can get in trouble. How about I write 2, 3, 4 offers in a day? If the person finds out that and you did deposit money, they can hold the deposit. They also could come at you. I doubt that they would, but they could come at you because you're not negotiating in good faith. It's one at a time.
One at a time.
One at a time.
Plus, who can juggle all that?
People get desperate, and I understand that. But again, we're not in a market that has no actives. I want to talk about that. The market's fast. It's a beautiful market.
You just wanted to go.
Oh,
You
have to go.
You
there.
could hold back. I
Not
knew
at
you
all.
couldn't.
Nope. Not at all. If you were looking at active listings, and it's what I call a spot look, you look every week on the same day, you look at how many active listings are on the market on that day. And then you chart that. But it's a spot look. You can't know. At 5 minutes after you're off looking at the MLS to see how many sold or how many actives there are, another one could come on, it would be higher, or that one could have sold and it comes off. So there's no way to look at it except in a spot. But we show that the listings, a quarter of the year gone, which we're almost at, and so the first quarter, it's been sinking. The way some people present that is there aren't any listings. But if you add together the number that say they're active, can be purchased, you can still look at them, you can still write contracts on. They have not gone into contract. And you add in those that have gone into contract that haven't closed, that normally on the market would be sitting there.
Yeah, but they got snatched up so quickly.
That's correct. That number is over 5,000 right now in Orange County. But if you look at the actives, it's 2,300 and change. I don't remember. I think it's 16, but and change. So there's 2,300 versus 50 or 5,400, I believe, if you add the two together. So we have listings. We have a very active market. That's good normally. 5,000 listings is a good market. The problem is they're coming off because the demand is so high. So anyway, people get desperate representing buyers. I can't get them through. What can I do? How can I fake it? How can I make my deal better? And if you don't have a listing agent who can secure all of that before you enter escrow, you can have all kinds of issues.
And just as a frame of reference, today's date is March 23rd, 2021. So if you're listening to what he's saying, you'll know if it's timely or not.
Since I've been looking at numbers, and that's almost back to the beginning of my career and probably before, I don't remember a quarter of a year going with a fast market with fewer and fewer and fewer listings that are active. This is an exceptional market. And if you look at it compared to any other year that I've seen, and I haven't gone back into the early 70s, the mid to later 80s when we had real fast markets. It is ripping up right now. It's so far above any of the charts, if you put the charts one over another, this year is taking off like a.
Rocket.
If you haven't seen the last podcast we did, go back and take a look at it. You'll see rocket ships throughout. Anyway, it is. It's very, 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 very fast. That's all good. None of it is bad. The reason it's so good is as soon as you sell your house for a lot of money, and if you do it in the first part of the year, you're going to probably have that much money in the new house in a short period of time as equity. So you want to make that move as soon as you can. If you're a buyer and you're saying, well, I don't want to pay too much for the house, what's too much? 2 months after you're in the house, you have equity, and you're like, really? This is exciting. It's just an unusual year where you really do win all the way around. And if you've ever thought about investing, this is the year. I am more and more certain as we get further in the year. You can buy a house, not touch it at all. And in the same amount of time, a flipper would have had to bring in a crew, fix the property, putting in new carpeting, new drapes, new I don't know why I said drapes, very few houses have those. Anyway, painted, new countertops, maybe even brand new everything, bathroom replaced. All of that work, and they get an amount. I am telling you, buy it, hold it, sell it, you make more money this year.
Well, you remember the property in Marietta
Yes.
that we bought for that client. I was on the phone with them recently, and they keep tabs on the market, and it's already been up 100,000 since they moved in, and they're like their minds boggled because they came from North Carolina where the market doesn't grow as quickly, and they came out here buying it, thinking, oh, we're spending a lot of money on this place compared to North Carolina, and now the equity shot up, and they're just gleeful right now.
Oh, yes.
To say the least.
I told you I had another client that contacted me, and as much as I'm trying to get you as individuals looking at the real estate market, trying to understand it better, and I'm trying to take you through this, I had one call me and he said, I can't believe this. The house across the street just sold for $150,000 more than I thought my house could possibly be worth. And they sold it in 2 days. And I said, yes, the market's very, very superheated. I said, I was going to refinance my house, but maybe I shouldn't. If I bought early in the year like this, now mind you, I just said that. I've been saying that to newbies. And he's telling me what I've been saying. What you've been
preaching to your clients and
he had figured
other
it
agents.
Out, all on his own. He hasn't been an investor, but he goes, I could move up. I could possibly even invest in property at the same time. And this is unbelievable. And I said, yes, it is. And so we're going to sit down and probably list his house. He wants to do a couple of things to it. I'm saying in this market, you really don't need to. But he wants to do that because he thinks he'll get a little bit more. And what you want to do is up to you. But the faster he gets into the new property, the more equity gain he has. It's called the equity train.
Hop on that equity train.
Absolutely. This is a year for that. So I'm excited about that, but I also know that when things get this superheated, when people start to get desperate, both as buyers and as agents who aren't as well versed in the law, they can do what they think is a shortcut, which hurts you and can cost them their license. So I don't want to see that. Therefore, I thought this would be a good topic. But I think we've pretty much covered not everything that can happen, because that would be days.
Like I said at the beginning, how much time you got? Because we can sit here for a few hours and talk about some of the horror stories you and I have experienced together with some of our projects, stuff in your past, and stories we hear from other agents. Just plethoras of. You like that? I got plethora in.
Yeah, good. Proud of you.
But we can go on for hours.
Absolutely. And it's not about the problems. It's about the good year we're having. And I'm telling you, I've been in real estate a long time. I have never seen a start like this, and there's nothing going to stop this throughout the year, I don't think. What can stop markets? Fear. If the whole population got fearful of economic things. I'm surprised that with the virus, which we just have gone through, that we did. We went 2 months where we went down.
Oh, drastically.
Nothing. Nobody was listing. Nobody was buying. Nothing was going on. And then it shot up. That's unusual because fear usually stops the market.
Well, I think demand shot up a lot faster than supply.
Oh, yeah.
So supply is continuously lagging behind demand right now.
Yes, but we're at a very, I would say, above normal March in total number of properties that came on the market, counting the ones that came off and the ones that are still active. It's a better than usual year, but it is a super year. I mean, I next time we'll try to bring on some charts and at least show them to you in the beginning, and then we can go on to our topic. But those charts are phenomenal.
Yeah. So next time we're going to incorporate, like you said, charts, graphs, and incorporate some of that into. It gets really technical, but we can get in those, break those down. But you actually get to see. I don't know about you. I love visuals. I love graphs. I love charts. I dig them. So we're going to try to incorporate a lot of those into the podcast as well.
But I just want to drive this home. I don't say this every year. I've actually walked into people's houses and said, "Don't sell. You're selling into fear. You don't have to move. There's nothing happening in your family. The market is down. Don't sell. You don't need to do that. We're not going into a hole." I've said that to people. I am saying to you the opposite of that. This is so good. It's completely insane. And you can win big, especially if you're thinking of doing something in the next short while. A year, 2 years, 6 months. We were thinking about when the kids graduated and went off to college. You may be able to take a step here that you could feather your retirement. You could buy an investment property, not sell the house, take some equity out of your house and do it in something else. It's a year to make an investment.
But aren't a lot of those decisions based on the rate of value increase on the property? They're thinking, okay, by then our house is probably going to be about worth this. But with these new parameters, things have accelerated quickly. You're going to be, I think, well over 50% growth in 1 year. Take your house, add 50% to it, and I'm telling you, I think we're going to exceed that by a lot. That's some bold statement there, Tim. Remember, this is all on video. It's documented.
No, I know. That's why I'm being conservative compared to what I say to the agents. But I really do. I have seen other markets. To give you an idea, I bought a house in 1968. I bought that house. I'm not going to use numbers. I'm going to use percentages. I bought that house. That would be this number. I sold it in 3 years for 300% more than I bought it for. So the beginning number doesn't matter if it was 20,000, 50,000, 100,000, because money and inflation causes those numbers to look bigger. If we tripled in 3 years the value of your house, all of you would sell and put some money away and buy a house you want and still have money. That's what got me excited about real estate. 3 years, I tripled and sold the house, bought a condo in Hawaii. I bought a house that was, the first house was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, single story. I bought a 3,000 square foot house that was 2-story and 5 bedrooms in 3 years. Does it happen? Yes. Are we there? Oh, yeah. It's exciting. It's a good time to be in real estate. If you don't own any, own some. Anything, and you will end up with equity. Now's the year.
Well, obviously that's the reason why there's a big smile on your face.
Oh, yeah. I love this. This is, we're back to my roots, if you will.
Actually, yeah, definitely. Well, very good. Is there anything you would like to add on to our previous topic before you just started getting on the market again? I knew I couldn't hold you back.
Well, again, it's starting to beat a dead horse. The market, as far as we're looking at it, the number of listings that are active are dropping each month. That's because so many more people are coming on in the demand. It means that if you are going to get into the market, be patient. It's going to take you a while to find it's there because we still have the same number. Your agent has to be quick to get on the property so you can get it. And you have to be ready to bid more than it's worth. I said have to be ready to, because I think you're going to see in most cases you do, but sometimes we can get there early enough to buy it at the price that they had, which is a good price, and we can tell that by doing comparisons and doing market analysis. So we're not going to let you fall apart. We're going to get you there. The market is hotter than hot. It is the market I like the most, and it's one that causes a lot of agents to run around looking like it's horrible.
Yeah, and you talk about your strategies for buyers in a previous podcast. So I'm going to try to put a link here in the screen for that particular podcast if you want to listen to that more in detail about those strategies and different circumstances. So,
buyer or seller, you are winners in this year.
Exactly. Well, fantastic, Tim. Another great podcast.
Thank you.
Again, so this is an OC Housing Talk. Please like this video. Please subscribe and follow us on social media. But until next time, we'll see you later. Thank you.